Hi, my name is Lee. I am Cryptic Art, and I'm going to finally finish up The Artist's Way. It's taken me a really long time to get here, but I'm on chapter 11, and it's Lee time. It never takes, when I say it's going to take, it takes a lot longer always, but I always get the job done eventually, unless I'm really on fire about something and then I do it right away and then I can't not do it, you know. But such as life. And Julia talks a lot about autonomy as an artist in chapter 11, which I have thought about excessively, not just in relation to this chapter, but in relation to life and to being, an artist, being someone who is really fired up about expressing who I am and just about who I am in general and what I believe and my values and, everything that I've built my life on. And what is that? But as an artist, especially, autonomy is important. And it really, I think I thought a lot about it. And I thought as I was growing up, I didn't have a supportive family. Both my parents died at 10 and at 19. I didn't have a safe place to land. After that, I didn't, after my dad died at 10, I didn't have a safe place to land. Everything went to shit. So I've thought a lot about not needing anyone, which is not exactly autonomy. Autonomy, from what I gather, and what I have come to believe is just being yourself, your truest self, unapologetically. And I know that's such a cliche. I apologize. But it's really just speaking with your own voice, regardless of what you think people are going to say or judge you on. And I think that's really, as a woman, like the fear of judgment was really held me back for so long. And I succumbed to it all the time. And I tried to people please, and it just got me into so much trouble. I spent 10 years in a job where, like I was really bullied a lot, and I cared. And that's the biggest mistake. I cared. Um, and I tried to change to appease everyone. And really, I just ended up betraying myself. And that's what we do as artists. And I feel like I've not done that in my art much. Um, I really, maybe early on, like when I went to art school, I was, how old was I? Like 25, I think, when I went to art school or something. I don't know. But it was, I was directionless. And so I think I had this idea of what I should be doing. And I really didn't have a voice, and I ended up not finishing. And I went on to do, you know, another program, and finished and went on to work in television for a long time. But uh, it was, it's important to know yourself as an artist, I guess. And I'm only starting to know myself and my beliefs and my values and what I want. And my expression, I think, as an artist, comes out in a lot of ways, my creative expression. And I think I always thought autonomy meant, I didn't need anyone, but autonomy actually means that I am someone and I have a voice and I have something to say. And I think that's really hard for myself as a woman, but I think it's very important as an artist, and it's very important to develop your own language, and to have a sense that you have a language and that you have a foundation of um, what you want to say and how you want to say it. It's like a brand. And again, like, I don't like that word as an artist, particularly because I explore a lot of different mediums as an artist. I get a lot of information about what I want to say from trying different things. trying new things and learning new skills. I think that's really important as an artist. Um, she talks a lot, Julia talks a lot about, you know, doing, exercising your body, I think, as a means almost of meditation. I don't think she uses that word in the chapter. I could be wrong, but I can very much relate to that. I think meditation in general is a big part of my life. I'm kind of really bad at the moment in sitting, you know, and actually actively meditating. I think that my brain's a little busy these days. I have a lot on the go. But I find it very valuable when I can. And I have retaken up running, which is invaluable to me. I'm an early morning runner, like 5:30 a.m. If I can get out the door that early. It's harder all the time, but it's one of my favorite things, just to be out as the sun is rising and not a lot of people are out, and it's very quiet and peaceful, and the birds are just waking up and the crows are flying overhead, and I love everything about it. um, so that's a big thing for me to really, it is like a meditation. It's like an appreciation for what's great in life, getting out in nature, um, because we are nature. We're part of nature. And there's a big energy, and we are big energy. And I think every time we get into expression as a creative, we get into that energy and we expand our energy. We create something which is energy, but we're putting our energy out into something else, which is expanding it, physically expanding it, you know. And I think energy is expansive. Like, joy is a big feeling, and the satisfaction of actually getting up and getting into something and doing it is a big thing. Like, you're moving, just like when you're out running or rowing or cycling or just walking or just sitting by the water. You're actually getting outside and connecting with an energetic force, which is outside of you, but it's also part of you. And I think when we create art, we get into that zone of getting outside of ourselves. And I really fully 1000% believe that when I create, I am not creating alone. Even if I'm alone and I've been alone for 2 days and I haven't left my apartment, if I create something, well, I don't think I'm ever alone. I think, there's a spiritual element in us all that is always with us and always part of us and is us, but is of something else as well. We're connected, we're interconnected to everything all the time, but you can feel alone. But I think when you're creating something, you're physically and actively acting out the process of making a mark outside of yourself. No matter how you make that mark, that's creation, and that's expansive, and that's not alone. You're not doing that alone. You're inspired. You're in spirit. You're in a higher power. You're in outside of yourself. You're stepping outside of yourself. So I think, when you are figuring out your own voice as an artist, or maybe I should speak from first person, when I am figuring myself out as an artist, I have thoughts like, oh, I'm compelled to do something a certain way. Why deny myself that? Because it's like something I've never done before. And what are people going to say? Who cares? Like, it's like, oh, here's this thing. Normally, I make purses. I don't. Well, sometimes I do. They're weird. But, like here's normally I make purses, and today I did a giant wall mural because I felt compelled to do it. And I liked it, but I don't think anyone else will like it. Who cares? You probably learned something by doing that, and you probably inspired something else. It's like dominoes. Every time you do something new, it leads somewhere. It takes you down another path or leads you onto another, stepping stone to something else. Like, yeah, anyways, like I've been playing around with these cones, these cone shapes for a long time since COVID. And they've always intrigued me. And it's what started out as an angry symbol. It was forceful. I had no voice. I felt like I had no voice. Single parent, I was struggling. The world came crashing down. Like everyone's just barely hanging on. And I just like all these feelings bubbled up from the past, from my childhood, and I was really freaking angry. So I started working with the cone shape, and I I made masks with paper cones sticking out of them, like of old um, books, like school books, like vintage school book paper, very brittle, but they looked really cool, and very satisfied by this shape. It was so expressive, and I had no voice, right? So this became like a vehicle to have a voice. It was like all the voice that I didn't have. This like if if mime could be a sculpture, right? Like I was so angry and I was so bitter and so tired of everything. And so this cone shape really inspired me to uh, make more because I really felt like I needed a way to visually express a voice. Uh, and that became a language. I didn't know it at the time, but that's where it was going. And then about a year and a half ago, someone reached out who I've worked with before. And honestly, like I thought I would never step into a gallery before I managed one for a decade. And I thought, that's it. It almost broke me. I am burnt out and I don't think I'll ever do gallery work again as an artist or as a curator. But this person reached out and asked me if I wanted to curate a show for Pride. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I'm good enough, blah, blah, blah. But I accepted because I was curious. And that's another thing, autonomy, follow the curiosities. It's part of you. It's like, if you're curious about science, take a science course. It's inspiring, right? That stuff is inspiring. And anyways, I started putting together a show, and he said, you can have a little solo show on the side, just kind of meet the curator type thing. And that just like, whew, totally lit me on fire. And I started creating all of these weird sculptures, and I took it as an opportunity to make something weird. Like I do all these crows, and I love my crows. I love my birds. And they're expressive. And I never want to make anything that looks like reality. I want it to be inspired by reality, but an expression of how I'm inspired by reality, an expression of how magical I think reality kind of is that we can't see. Reality is it's our own perspective. It's each one's own perspective. It's so different for everyone. So why should I try to create something that someone else sees when I don't know what other people are seeing? I just want to make something fun and beautiful and interesting and weird, right? And that's my mandate, because I always felt weird. I felt like a misfit my whole life. So I think that really does also speak through my art. That comes through my art, like that difference, like that feeling of difference, which always isn't a bad thing. Like, I don't want to be normal. I don't want to wear beige. I don't want to read, like home and garden. Yeah, like, not that there's anything wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Gardens are beautiful. Homes are beautiful. But for me, I like the weird stuff, and I like things that are interesting and, kind of challenge the norm. And I think that comes through in my art. But anyway, so I took the opportunity to do something weird that I found interesting. And there was no pressure. There was no pressure to do anything a certain way. It was just a room. They gave me a room. I could display whatever I want. And that just opened the door, like opened the floodgates. And myself came pouring through. And it was really exciting. It was like 4 or 5 months of just pure creating, like all the time. Like, not everything worked. And I ended up, trashing a few things, and some ideas worked way better than I thought, and some didn't work at all. But it was fun, and it was exciting, and it was like such a like golden opportunity. Um, and what I found, I'm just going to step off screen for a second. So I just created all of these like really big, soft, plushy. This is velvet. This one's velvet, red velvet, soft, plushy sculptures. And it was, like, as I had said in other videos, I went through some recovery a couple years ago, like almost 2.5 years ago now. It's over. But I went through a 12-step program, which is kind of like Julia talks a lot about that in her own story. And it was one of the most healing journeys I've ever been on, at like 100%. And it's a really spiritual enlightenment for me, like a lot of connectivity to spirit, a lot of change, growth in values, in valuing myself, in seeing, the give and take of our past, and where I looked for connection and couldn't find it, and just like ended up searching in people's beds. Wasn't there. But maybe too many. But anyways, that's what the whole show was about. And when I wrote my statement, it ended up being about that journey. And there was a lot of healing in that, because when I showed the work, when I showed the show, I opened it. Man, the positive feedback was insane. And when I wrote the statement, I first wrote it as like I just whitewashed everything. I bleached it, I sanitized it. It made really very little sense and had very little meaning left by the time I sent it off to the curator. Um, and then I said, you know what, I'm going to rewrite it. I'm going to go back to the original. Sorry, that was a motorcycle. Back to the original meaning, um, and really make myself vulnerable in that space. Because, art should be vulnerable, or it doesn't mean anything. It should, that's autonomy. And that's when it hit me. Like, I rewrote or I went back to the original writing of my artist statement. And it did talk a lot about, my past and my fear of intimacy, and how that played out in my life in not a very healthy way. And when I sent it off, I actually felt nauseous. But I think that's a big part of the success of that show. It was like it came from a deep place of vulnerability. And even now, when I think about it, I want to cry, because it was like, I feel like it was one of the most successful shows I've ever had, and I hope that I get to show it again. I'm gonna try to apply to other places, but um, I got so much positive feedback, and I was so scared that it was just going to be weird and stupid and no one would understand it and just fall flat. What artist has not put themselves out there once or twice over the years and had something fall flat? It's like, oh shit, that sucked. But it didn't. It was good, and it people loved it, and it like it was just more than I could have imagined, and it just came out of nowhere. Like it came out of I think I was really just kind of like, maybe I shouldn't be an artist, and then my higher power was like, hell yes, you should. You've only ever wanted to be an artist. So that's stupid. Go be an artist. So it was a gift. Um, and I think that's autonomy. When you're doing something and it comes from a deep, deep place and you feel vulnerable as hell, but you share it anyways. I don't even know why I'm crying right now, but that's you. That's the most important part of making art, in my humble opinion. Uh, just coming from a place that feels really scary. And I think that some of the best things in life come out of that. But, you know, like I revel in staying home all the time and making art. Like I revel in it. That's my happy place. A little too much. It's a little too safe. So I could definitely be more social, but that's a scary thing for me. Like that fear of intimacy runs deep, comes from a lot of pain. So I'm working on it, but one day at a time. I can make art and have fun, and make videos that maybe hopefully one or two people will watch. In any case, chapter 11, autonomy. Um, I sure would like to speak to some artists in person about all this stuff. I think it would be great to have an in-person group. I've done that before with this book, and it was very satisfying. I had a great group of people that we went through every chapter together in person. That was fun. But, maybe soon, maybe when I'm finally done these videos, we can look at that. In any case, thank you if you've made it this far. Thank you so much for watching and listening to me blather on. I love being an artist. I love it. And for me, it's a deeply personal and deeply spiritual practice. And I am grateful for every idea that I get and everything that I do that I like. And everything that I do that I don't like. It's a journey, right? Like it's always learning, and I love learning. So anyways, I hope you guys are making a lot of weird stuff, and I love you all, and I'm going to try to do chapter 12 very soon, like not in an hour, but not in a year. So peace, salutations.